So Project Janpat is a platform for artists and designers to showcase their work and then to engage with the public through an open house format. An open house format is an idea that was started in France a couple of decades ago, and it involves people opening up their houses and private buildings for public use, which is where people can come in, they can engage with the space, appreciate the space and the architecture of a building, and at the same time also look at art and basically have open discussions through which I think that the public can learn about art, and the artists can also engage with the public and learn how to, on how they react. This is our first exhibition. This is my house. I live here. I'm an architect, so I have a little studio, and I have, now with this exhibition, I have very interesting people coming in, looking at the art, trying to understand what it is, talking to the artists, and we think it's a good initiative, and we hope to spread it. One of the artists that we are showcasing in this space, his name is Prashas, and his work revolves around, one of his series revolves around pan stains, and he's interested in seeing how the pan and the spit of the pan leaves a stain on the canvas. Amongst the works that he's done, which are on display, in order to get people to kind of involved in his discourse, we had an artist intervention wherein we'd invited people to come over, eat pan and spit on the canvas and see how the different forms of the pan stains are created. I think through this exercise people could actually understand what pan stains are, how they're created, and what different forms generate out of involving through that exercise. So this is in a way which we feel that we can kind of break the model of art that is somehow only appreciated through its economic value, and look at art for what it is, what the artist's intention is, and basically what the artist is trying to say.
So for me, I realized with pan that there's a whole art of spitting and spewing, and the more I researched into it, people told me, oh, this is spat by a professional pan chewer, and this is kind of a person who doesn't know how to chew and doesn't know the culture. And so there's a whole art of spitting and staining, and the same thing with boot polish. And so the more I explored it, and I wanted to kind of play with it, being inspired from carrying that further into a contemporary space. So I started, whether it was, I started finding instruments which could mimic the whole act of spewing, because for me the important thing was not to paint, but to stain. So be it the raw canvas, and so. And then like for instance, this canvas of mine, which is more than 6 meters, was inspired by these people who are chewing and spewing pan from cycles, in a continuum, and it forms this dancing kind of a line. So this was perhaps inspired from there. The black stain. It was a series of works done where I could try to show the whole play of, again, being on a raw surface. When I try to stain the surface, the whole, it kind of traces wherever the paint moves along, and so the whole animation of the whole process of staining is attempted to be captured out here, you know. I mean, because it's black and white, it's that much more, you're able to see details of the whole act of staining. I draw a lot of kind of aesthetic pleasure through stains, so for me it was important to blow that up also, to be able to see it as an entirety, you know, by itself, completely. For me, there's immense pleasure in the chemistry of or the physicality of the stain on a medium. This is part of a series called the Match Strike series. These are basically used and thrown away match boxes by people, voluntarily kind of struck, or whether I did a couple by myself. You know, these are different forms of exploring the whole idea of a matchbox. Has such a important function amongst the masses that for me, each of those individual match strikes draw out a drawing, you know. I mean, completely one, each being unique and kind of, and it depends on who the user was, or where, or how, and each matchbox has a completely different kind of a sense of drawing on it. So for me, again, this was a medium which, or a form which we just overlook. We've learned to overlook it. Once it's thrown in the street, or once it's finished, there's no reason for you to keep it, unless it's a collector's item or something, you know. So as a mass product, it becomes absolutely something which cannot give you any more information or value, so it's discarded, you know. So where you discard is where I start trying to inspect and find my source of what inspires me is there.
So one of my works I present here is the story of the world in pictures, which started with a book I found in a flea market, which had that title, The Story of the World in Pictures. And I found it fascinating, the title maybe more than the book itself, to recollect the history of mankind, and this is how the project started, with the book, and now I'm sort of transforming the images in the book into boxes and into other forms. And so this is the beginning of that project, which I'm also showing here. I'm also showing my boyfriend series I did this year, which is also based on found photographs from flea markets. I found these visiting card photographs, which were very popular around 100 years ago. And yeah, once again, using other material than just my own camera and my film and looking out. My material is also something I can find and appropriate to myself.